So let me try to go Pollyanna on this first. I'm going to be positive in my outlook. I'm turning over a new leaf here. Let's say that we know that the normal process of schooling was disrupted because of the pandemic. So if we want students on the normal schedule of age-based schooling that we have had for years, then we have to do something to try to get back on track for the normal process of schooling. Fine. So there's going to need to be supplemental things to what we normally would have done. We can't just do 8 to 3 in the classroom and make up for a year that was disrupted, potentially 2 years that's disrupted, right? So there needs to be external things and add ons to catch up, so to speak. Totally makes sense. I'm totally on board. What are those new things? So the government has provided money to do the add-ons. Cool. Let's get some good add-ons in there. Right. So the question becomes, what are the add-ons that are going to make up for the disruptions? Who's going to provide them? Are they of quality? Are they aligned with what students need and want and will participate in? All of those sort of things. So I think that from a theoretical point of view, from a high level, it makes sense. Things were disrupted. In order to catch up, we're going to add on more. Let's choose some things to add on. That's sort of the theory that was behind No Child Left Behind as well. We have to catch up. We have to do some add-ons. I ran a tutoring company at the time of No Child Left Behind. The processes that were put in place for me as an entrepreneur to be paid for those programs almost required me to cheat. And that's a lot of my concern. Like all of the scandals that came out of No Child Left Behind, all of the ed tech miracle working programs that are currently being sold, although they've never been proven or tested or this and that, those are my concerns, right? Is as a tutoring company with No Child Left Behind, the program I remember looking at and thinking about applying to and deciding not to was providing after school tutoring, specifically focused on testing, which was my area, but paid based on attendance. It's like, wait a minute. This was like, and I think the metric, like, and paid based on attendance immediately says to me, how am I going to prove that they were there? Right now, everybody has to keep track of attendance. But what if the kids don't show? What if I send 10 teachers and there's a PTA meeting and the kids don't show, can't show, or the kids decide to go to the football game? So we haven't signed the attendance sheet anyway, which happened. Or the attendance sheet is signed, right? So I never participated in the No Child Left Behind. I just thought it would, I would be taking too big of a risk to hope to get paid at the end of that, right? Because paying me based on attendance is crazy, because I'm going to have to put out all these resources to get people to show up and to have programming in place and materials on the hope that there aren't conflicts after school that prevents the students from showing up. How are these programs implemented is almost as important as are the vendors legitimate, so to speak. Right? And then there's still the question of, do you really want an army of external vendors coming in and working with your kids?
Yeah, there's also like the motivation component and the engagement component, because the people that come in, especially ed tech, that come in to solve these problems, although I'm sure they probably do increase test scores in some cases, it's like at what cost? Because it's so boring. We've been in so many different circumstances where our test scores at our school are horrendous. They always have been. And the solution, quote unquote, has been, well, let's pay $20,000 for this ed tech software. They promise in 2 weeks test scores will go up. Sometimes they do. But the kids are bored to death and they hate it. They no longer love math or reading or whatever the thing is that they're testing.
I mean, that's part of the challenge, right? Is that the external struggles to education impact the performance in the classroom. The underfunding of a lot of schools impact the performance of the classroom, and the solutions that are often developed don't alleviate those core problems, right? So it's like, if you say that there are 5 external things that are impacting classroom performance and therefore also impacting test scores, to put something in place to improve test scores ignores all the other things. so I'm not sure that's going to solve the problem. And also, if you think of standardized testing as impacted by 2 separate things, one is permanent skills that students were supposed to acquire in their regular school classroom, and temporary skills that are unique to timed standardized testing environments. Test prep predominantly addresses the latter. Test prep can most immediately, short term, test intentional prep most immediately addresses the temporary test specific skills. If the problem is predominantly the long term permanent skills, then test prep isn't doing so much to address that.